quite yet. Water.
There you go. You're a scientist too.
I'm lost. Okay.
So, MASL came out with a statement, and from what I've heard behind the scenes, people were maybe upset at some people getting called out about no updates in the league and everything. So they came out to tell us absolutely nothing new. They're still looking at like a December 31st, January 1st start date. Some teams may not be able to play. I know Milwaukee for one. No fans are allowed in the arenas through 2020. I think Rochester was like January 21st would be the earliest date. Now, granted, this was also a couple months ago for Rochester. Milwaukee's just came out like last month. They said that. Wisconsin's now has like the top 9 of 10 worst hotspot cities for COVID in the country because we opened up and all the schools opened up and you ain't taking my freedom away. And now we're the highest hotspots in the country. So congratulations. I don't want to go on a rant on that.
It's frustrating, man. It's very frustrating.
G, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Given this update and what the governor said recently, is that going to affect anything that you guys have planned? I know you guys have a start date in mind, but with the governor's news about pulling back the restrictions, does that change anything?
Well, I mean, like I read today that Navy football is going to actually let the midshipmen in tomorrow for a game, which is big because they haven't done that yet.
Right.
I've heard rumors that the Ravens, and when they play Pittsburgh, and I think it's November 1st, there's a very strong rumor that they'll have 7,000 to 14,000 in the stadium. The Blast want to start January 8th, and we're just waiting for government approval. I feel confident. That we'll be playing in January. I know Dallas, Kansas City, and St. Louis could play like right now because they have 50%.
Right.
So I think Florida does too. I think the Tropics can play 50%. I mean,
Florida
mandate, but then each city's government is allowed to do whatever they want.
Well, that's what's happening in Maryland. I mean, Governor Hogan says one thing, but then it's up to the counties.
Yeah, or counties
to do what they want. Yeah. So I mean, we're going through that too. So it's the same thing, but we're operating that we're going to start in January as long as the government allows us. There's a lot of. There's some teams that just don't know what they can do yet.
Yeah.
I mean, Cuomo's just changing the rules like daily. So, I mean, I've been talking to Tommy Tanner more the past couple of weeks than I have ever, just because we're trying to be on the same page and get updates. And, I feel for you guys up in New York, and I know Wisconsin too. I mean, because in March and April, we were in the north, New York, New Jersey, PA, Delaware, Maryland were like the hot spots.
Right.
So.
Well, and what happened here is Green Bay Packers are doing games with no fans.
Mm-hmm.
And the bar owners up there, Wisconsin's like there's a church and a bar in every corner. And
I saw a picture of a bar that was packed, and every time the Packers scored a touchdown, they had shots going around. And it just looked like it was mobbed, like shoulder to shoulder.
So the bar owners are like, well, screw that. If you can't get into the stadium, come here and drink. Free shots and touchdowns and all these crazy promos and everything. And of course, 2 weeks later, Green Bay is the #1 hotspot in the country. And if anyone's mesmerized by how that happened, it's like 2 + 2 = 4. That hasn't changed. I don't want to go on for a rant on that any more than I already have. But that's where we are now. Yeah.
The more you know.
The more you know.
If you more realistically, who would be the first person if we could start in January, or first team, sorry, that we could play realistically?
It would probably be someone regional. It's probably going to be Harrisburg or Utica or Rochester, whoever can bust to us. I mean, I think what's going to happen.
Or Monterey.
I'm reading what Armando's saying.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be regional. I can see us doing like a weekend, Kansas City, St. Louis, or go down to Florida, play the Tropics Friday, Sunday, something like that. But I think it's probably gonna be like it was a couple of years ago, where you have your divisions playing each other. That's how it's gonna end up working. You're going to try to keep the flights minimal. You're going to drive a lot. And I think you're going to see it like the old days, like the NPSL. You're going to see 3 games in 3 nights.
Mm.
I think you're going to have a lot of that.
Do you think there's a chance a team could do 2 weekends in a trip, like a Florida coming up East Coast on like a Saturday, playing a Sunday game, and then staying through the week, playing a Friday and a Saturday, and going back home? Or do you think
I don't know if they could stay. I don't know if they could stay for a week. That'd be pretty expensive.
Yeah.
I could see them doing like a Harrisburg, Baltimore, or go to New York, do Rochester, Utica, something like that. Or they could even do Rochester, Utica, Baltimore, something to that effect, and 3 and 3, because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to probably have like 1 home, 2 away, 2 home, 1 away, something like that. Like I can remember the Blast would go. Wait a minute, when they're the Spirit, they would play here Saturday and play in Milwaukee. They would play Milwaukee Saturday and go to Milwaukee and play them Sunday. So it'd be a home and home. It was crazy. But like all the guys like Bascom, Giuliano, Tommy Tanner, all these guys are used to playing the 3 and 3. I mean, that's all they did. They're used to doing the traveling. And it was like they laugh when fans are like, "Oh, 3 and 3." That was the norm for them.
Yeah. What about doing everybody show up at once? We'll pick Utica for the field size.
Oh,
Everybody
no.
shows up there.
Good idea.
Start the first game at 7 a.m. and just play until everyone's passed out. How much of the season can we get in 2 days, and then come back the next week and do it again?
Hey, you play on our field to be less tired.
Or more, depending.
Oh yeah. You're not. That's true.
Because you can, yeah.
You're constantly moving on ours. I mean,
Right,
you're constantly moving.
I
personally love the size of the field, just
shut up.
because.
I mean,
No, listen, hear me out. Because really watching the league down south, the speed of the game down there is ridiculous, and it translates to Baltimore or Sonora or even Turlock.
That's what got me fans of Sonora for sure, is watching their just run and gun, and they never slow down and they never stop shooting. And if for a fan of the action, it's like the team to watch.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you know what? It's you have to be very, very fast, very skillful to play on the small fields. You can't sit on the ball whatsoever. You just can't do it.
All right,
I mean, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you do that. He's just wonderful. We have a young man who lives like around the PA Maryland line, who I think he's like maybe 7, 8, 9 years old, and he lost his leg to cancer. And William goes up and plays video games with them. They had a big story on the local news about it. We actually had him bang the drum before a game last year and
nice. Yeah, I remember
drum the boy out. So William he trains boys and girls as a goalkeeper all week long. He has a company called Born to Fly. He's really, really just a great guy. So on the field, I think he's the best goalkeeper in the MASL. Off the field, he's head and shoulders one of the greatest guys you'd ever want to meet.
Hey, he was a fun. And if anyone's friends with him on Facebook, look at his dog and cat fight video today.
Oh, it's from today, yeah.
He was right.
Let me tell you, how there's a local thing here called Soft Side. It's for adopting animals.
Sure.
So they had a show at the old arena where we played, Show Your Soft Side, and it was him. I think it was Vinny Dantas and Tony Donatelli. They were part of the celebrities. Some Raven players were there, some local news people. So you would walk out with an animal, and you would people would adopt these animals. So they gave him this dog, and after he walked out, he kept looking for the woman from the show. He's like, I want this dog, and that's Bella. So the dog he has out, Bella, is who he had in the show.
Nice.
So that's how he got Bella.
That's cool. Yeah, so Eric Berger said we guys have to come to KC and play in the media game dressed as corn dogs.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Here's your jersey. So I'm noticing a not how do I word this? A non-Milwaukee fan favorite player got released recently, Andrew Hoxie.
Yeah, that was tough,
because
man.
he was always a bitch to play against.
Yeah, Hoxie, he had asked for his release, and we really weren't interested in, just releasing him. And we talked throughout the summer, and it was very family oriented. He wanted to do some different things with his family. He's not retiring, but when we actually decided, okay, we're going to release him, I walked around my driveway for 20 minutes trying to call him. I just couldn't do it. It was like so hard to do. And I just finally ripped the Band-Aid off, and he answered, and I was just like making small talk, and I finally told him, and I think you could hear some relief in his voice. And we had a really good 20 to 25-minute conversation. And I made sure we didn't really announce it to our fans till this past Tuesday, because I wanted to make sure he got the proper send-off.
Yeah.
It was really hard for me, because he came here the same year I started doing the music. So this is my 6th year with the team overall. So I didn't realize it till like a year or two ago that we came at the same time. And I've done school appearances with him. He actually read the Lorax last year at his school, and I was with him, watching and bringing stuff, and he was just amazing with the kids. And then that school actually sang the anthem 2 weeks later, and they brought this big envelope of handmade cards thanking him. They loved him that much.
That's cool.
So he's an all-around great guy. When I DJ'd William Vanzella's wedding, we had our photo booth, and one of our props was a Mario and Luigi hat. So we made sure that he put them on for the photo booth. And he's walking around. He's got the hat on. He's the mustache, and he's just an all-around great guy. He was our biggest jersey seller. I mean, you go to the arena, everyone's buying Hoxie stuff. So it was very, very difficult for me just to do that. It was probably the hardest thing I've had to do so far. But he's a great dude, and I wish him well. And if I don't know he doesn't want to retire. I don't know what his future holds. I would love to have him come back to camp and see what happens. But he's just overall just a wonderful guy.
Yeah. He's
So Gio, where do you think he'll end up?
I'm gonna steal Matt's answer. He's say Rochester.
That was my guess. So Rochester just posted a happy birthday thing to him with
Right.
him in their old jersey, with almost no mustache compared to what he has now. So yeah, that would be my guess too.
I mean, look, Soccer Sam's doing a good job up there, bringing guys up. He's got Schindler.
Yep.
They were competitive at the end of the year last year too. I mean, Sam's another guy. Sam's just so funny, and he's so passionate about the sport, and he wants it to work. He wants everyone to get along, and I think they're still like a year or two away from being able to bring more guys in. But for what he's doing up there, I think it's wonderful for Rochester.
Well, I know his team setup is similar to St. Louis, where the sponsorships pay the player salaries.
Mm-hmm.
So if they didn't have any fans in the stands, they could still feel the team and get on. I think that's a pretty good setup. And then they definitely don't have a problem bringing fans in. Now they just need to get that keep going from where they started.
Yeah.
Well, like I was about to say, he would fit perfectly there, because a lot of the Rochester guys are young. They need a experienced leader. And also, I don't see what other team he would fit in, given one, his playing style, and one, just where he is in his career.
Yeah, he had some injury problems last year, his neck and back, and it's a shame, because he scored some huge goals for us. I mean, you would know that, Matt. But and you, but we beat Monterey 2 years ago. He scored a fantastic goal early in the game. In Sonora, for the 2 years we won, he played some great soccer down there. He's just when he's on, man, he's on.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of the best. He was derailed with some injuries this year, and it kind of there was not a lot of communication that he had with the staff, like the coaching staff, things like that. So that hurt him, but like I said, he was, when we had our phone call, he was absolutely just positive and thankful. And, he put a real nice message out Tuesday night or Wednesday morning on Facebook, sent me a text, thanking me for what I said about him. So he's a great guy, man. I can just say that over and over.
Re-signed a lot of other players that kind of didn't get to mention. Could you go over some of those players?
Oh, and we re-signed Juan Pereira, who's he's a key component of our midfield, and he's another guy who's great in the community. He's funny as hell. I mean, he's one of the funniest dudes ever. There's a 7-Eleven at the end of my street, and Juan trains his club team like 10 minutes away from me. So I'll be coming home from the office, and he's at the light eating a bunch of taquitos in his pickup truck. Like I pull in, I just stop, look at him. He like raises the taquito, like turns green. He goes. He's a good dude. I mean, he's so funny, man. Lucas Roque is re-signed, and what's good about Lucas is we're gonna have him from the last year he came in January, and we call him the Brazilian Whisperer because whenever there's any issues, he just calms everybody down. But having him from the beginning is going to be huge. Having Victor France, from the beginning of the season is going to be huge. We got Peruzzi back, and Peruzzi's, recovering from another ACL. But as a goal scorer and a set piece guy, he's one of the best around. We got Marco Nascimento. We re-signed him. He's a good young player. We're bringing back Josh Hughes, who was with us for a few of our championships in Sonora. He was an outdoor player as well, but now he wants to fully connect on indoor. Jeff Machad from Orlando.
Right.
He was really sought after, and everyone thinks that Max Ferdinand was one of our first choices right from the get-go. Basco and I are like, we want Machad. Like we had said, Jeff was like our number one guy.
Yep.
And we got Armando Tello. Armando was the first free agent we signed, and it was just when we talked to Armando, it was like when we picked up the phone to speak to him, it was like we knew the guy forever. It was just that good of a feel with him. And I know, Milwaukee was talking to Jeff, and the Tropics were, and I mean, we're beyond thrilled. We love our defense right now. We still have Dos Santos. We got Mike Diesel. We got Jeremy Raley. We could put Hughes in the back. We got Machad we could put in the back. So we have a lot of guys that are interchangeable that can move around. And we really like our team. We've gotten a little bit younger. You got the best goalkeeper in the league who's going to be doing stuff back there for us with William. He controls the field. He plays well in the small field. So we're very, very excited. We lose Vinny, who scores goals, but you got Lucas, you got Mello, you got Pereira, you got Roque, you got all these guys, Victor France, that could score goals at any moment. So I think it's going to be good to kind of spread it around, honestly.
Yeah. So Jack,
Alec? Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
I was going to do Jack's question first about
Okay.
visas for next season. And there's really no update. I think things have even slowed down.
If you want, from what I've been told, if our president does not win, the visa situation will probably improve.
But how long? I mean, it's.
We don't know. I mean, we're doing all the paperwork for our guys.
Yeah.
That's a hot button with a lot of people, and it's hard to say. It's hard to say. It's one of those things where I've had to learn it on the fly very quickly. I automatically think that Danny, Kelly, and David, same mindset. And I can tell you, David has his own mindset, and there's going to be a lot more accountability, a different style of play. Our team's going to be in shape when they come to camp. And that's been a problem in the past. He has a whole curriculum set up for these guys. And David's also about life skills too. So it's not all about soccer. He wants them to succeed off and on the field. And I think the Blast style is still going to be there, but I think it's going to be a lot, it's going to be faster. It's going to be disciplined. It's going to be lots of quick changes, on and off the field. Off the bench, things like that, and it's going to be accountability. And it doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a veteran, man. If you do something he doesn't like, he's going to deal with it. Him and I probably talk at least 3 to 4 times a day easily, and that never happened. And he loves that. I mean, him and I love it. We want to make sure that we want to make sure that there's a good connection between the front office and the staff. And a lot of the players have said that to me, like, we never had this before. So, like, when I'm readily available for them, it kind of takes them by surprise and they like it a lot. So we just, it's going to be a lot of accountability. And once the accountability hits, then the rest will find its way onto the field. So, but he's a very intelligent student of the game. He's eager to teach, and he's ready to go. I mean, he's really, really impressed all of us so far with what he wants to do.
When we score, that fits being all right. It's kind of like celebrate.
Over there.
Speaking of arena soccer, let me ask
blemish.
you a question, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot.
Arena soccer, what's that?
Yeah.
What would be your all-star team right now with the players right now in the league?
So current league?
Current league.
Oh my God, man.
Then you could do the all-time.
So in the current league now, I'd go William and Lemos in the goal.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go Zach Reggett. I like him. I like Ian, of course. Oh boy.
Yeah, how do you shove 7 players in one position there?
I like Ruggles. I like Drew Ruggles a lot.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man. I gotta think now. I mean, obviously you gotta have a Tayu. You gotta have Frank Tayu in there.
Right.
All your players are like, their shoulders are slowly saying a little after every name you say.
Why
Well, I mean,
don't you do what Adam does and go, oh, I'm going to type the link in for the roster of the Baltimore Blast.
I have never done that.
Just accept.
I've done the Milwaukee Wave.
I would say definitely Lemos and William in the goal. Ian Bennett, Frank Tayu, Drew Ruggles.
So if you look at what Tacoma's doing with Toth and Waltman, and one of the reasons Danny kind of says, well, I'm kind of on my way out because I'm getting older, but really there was some thought put into that with, if it's going to be a shortened season, there's going to be a lot of back-to-backs, or like you said, 3 nights. They were planning on having, let's bring both keepers to both games, and we can swap whoever is going to be best that night, kind of thing. So obviously Williams, your number one, without a question of a doubt. How are the Blast looking at handling that? If you're doing 2 and 3.
We're very confident in our backup, Mike Zierhofer. Gio wants to play. All right. Mike Zierhofer, he's a big boy. He's got a fantastic arm. He is one of the best arms in the league. He just needs time to play, and that's I think last year, I think we didn't expect to struggle like we did at times. And I think if we would have had our normal year, we probably would have seen Mike in the goal a little bit more.
Oh, sure.
He didn't get a lot of support when he did play. But we're very confident with him. This will be his 3rd year with us. 3rd year? I think 3rd year. This will be his 3rd year with us. He's very, very capable. He knows the game. His distribution passes with his arm are one of the best that you'll see. I mean, the first time he played down in Florida 2 years ago against the Tropics, and I could not get over his arm. I mean, it blew my mind. And it's funny because we had a game when Vanzella tore his the thigh muscle or whatever it was.
Adductor.
Yeah. We didn't dress a backup goalie that game, so Pat Healy had to play the goal.
I remember that.
And we won.
Yeah.
And years ago that happened. Can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Sagu, something. But Mike Lookingland had to finish playing goal against Monterey, and we won.
Yeah.
So it just blows my mind that teams don't dress 2 goalies no matter what.
I would.
It's a risk. Isn't it a league thing now, though?
I don't know. I think it was.
Sorry, Adam.
I don't know what's changed, but I've always thought it was kind of silly that you should have 2 goalkeepers dressed.
So they did when they went from the year before, they went from 14 to 15 on the roster. In the playoffs, they said you could dress an extra as long as it's the backup goalkeeper. And then the next year, they expanded it out to 15 with the understanding that teams would dress a second. and teams are like, oh, cool, I got another player I can dress. And they still dressed one keeper and didn't do it.
Yeah.
And if you get, you go on a back-to-back road trip and you only, Kansas City was guilty of this a lot, where they would only bring 14. And then somebody would get injured on the first game and they would only go in with 13 or 12 in the second game. I would like to see a rule that says you have to dress 2 goalkeepers.
It's common sense. I mean, it's common sense, man. I mean, especially, I think the guys are bigger and stronger. I think, and you got the smaller fields. The ball comes flying in there. I mean, it's.
Well, and you've seen all the weird angles a ball can come off the boards. It can hit you in the side or back of the head, and then you're out. And like in the case when Pat Healy played, he obviously did a great job, and the defense really stepped up for him.
Mm-hmm.
Game. The Wave had one when Marcel Feenstra went out with his ACL tear.
Yeah.
That Victor Quiros came in and played essentially sixth attacker the whole game. He didn't even put gloves on, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen it from time to time here and there. But now they have the rule that if the goalkeeper's treated for injuries twice, he has to come out. He can come back in as soon as he wants, but he has to come out at that second time.
2 or 3, I think it was 2 years ago, we played the Comets here. And I can't remember the guy's name they had in the goal, but he took a shot to the head. And you could tell right away he was – and they didn't have another goalie.
Yeah.
And he stayed in the game. And it was just kind of like
Chicago did that with Jesus Flores. Basically dove headfirst into the pole trying to make a save. And you could tell he was out. And you could tell he didn't know where he was and didn't really – but he played through the whole game. I don't think nowadays they'd let that go because I was kind of right on the cusp of concussion protocols and things like that. I think now – they'd hold the fingers in front of his face and he'd be like 17 and they'd be, okay, you're coming.
Well, I will tell you 2 years ago, and I will not tell you who the player is. He was
an all-star team today, played an all-star team from the 80s or 90s who would win. And I think it was Huffman that mentioned the defense is so different today that you just couldn't hit guys like you can then, like you can now. And when I watched Semenkovic, his skill was undeniable. I'm not taking that away at all. But just the fact that there was no defense.
I disagree with you because let me tell you, the defense, like Kim Bronfeld was a huge defender when he played. You take a look at the all-star teams of the 80s and the guys that played deep. Kevin Crowe for San Diego, another great defender. There was some top-notch. Bruce Savage, before he came to us, was in Phoenix. Another one that was phenomenal. He was just – Stamenkovic was special. You'll probably never see something like that again.
Yeah, that was –
and the teams he played against were not easy teams. I mean, you had the Arrows, you had the Sockers, you had –
I'd love to see
St. Louis. St. Louis was always at Kansas City, Wichita. Those guys were, ridiculous.
Everybody get up, everybody get down, everybody dance to the rhythm. We're gonna ride in the rhythm. Everybody dance to the rhythm till the night up. Everybody get